Good evening. The meeting is now live and is being broadcast and recorded. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the Mayor of the Borough of Bracknell Forest, Councillor Jenny Penfold.
Sorry. Right, good evening, everybody. Welcome to this meeting of the Council. I'm waiving the requirement in the Council procedure rules requiring councillors to stand when addressing the meeting, so please remain seated. The meeting is being broadcast and recorded. If there are any technical issues, please bear with us. I now declare the meeting open. First item, are there any apologies?
Yes, I have received apologies from Councillor Mossam and Councillor Pickering.
And are there any in the room? Anyone in the room knows of anyone who sent apologies? If there are, put your hand up, please. Councillor Smith.
Councillor Philip Thompson is unable to attend in person. I believe he's intending to join online, but I'm not sure if he's managed to join the meeting yet.
Right, thank you. Clark, is there anyone joining us online?
Joining remotely, if you could respond when I call your name. I can see we've got Councillor Watts. Councillor Watts, can you confirm that you're present remotely? Okay, and we also have Councillor Karim.
Yeah, Councillor Karim is joining remotely.
Thank you. If anyone else joins remotely during the meeting, the Mayor will also confirm their attendance.
Right, is that all? Thank you. Next item is to recommend the approval as a correct record of the minutes of the meeting held on the 8th of January and the minutes of the special budget meeting held on the 26th of February 2025. I'm happy to move the approval of the minutes, but before I ask Councillor Temperton to second the motion, please indicate if you have an issue with the accuracy. Right. Does anyone online have an issue with the accuracy?
No one online, Madam Mayor, no.
Thank you. Right. In that case, I propose the minutes. Councillor Temperton, are you happy to second them as a correct record?
I'm happy to second those minutes, thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Temperton. Right. Declarations of interest, item 3. The full text is set out in your agenda on your agenda papers at item 3. Does any councillor have a disclosable or pecuniary interest or an affected interest to declare? If you have, please declare the nature of your interest. Deputy Mayor, does anyone online have a?
Nobody online, Madam Mayor, no.
Thank you. Right, we are now on to item 4, which is my announcements. Right, welcome everybody. Once again, I have had an interesting few weeks. Is there a slide to put on the board? Yeah. Oh, it's there now. Sorry, it wasn't before when I looked. Interesting few weeks visiting events both within the borough as well as other parts of Berkshire. You can see the list of events I have attended on the screen. The Deputy Mayor has attended several of these with me. I draw your attention to the iftar meal, which Janet and I attended yesterday. We had little idea what the iftar meal was. I'm sure one or two of you will know that. It's a sunset meal in Ramadan to which all religions and cultures are invited. It's an expression of unity, which is so much needed in the world. It was very much enjoyed by us. I have taken part in 3 monthly citizenship ceremonies in 2025. This month, we welcome people from about from many different countries. They are all bringing talents in diverse areas. Many of them have been giving us the benefit of these talents for many years. It's always a joyous occasion. And this morning, the registrar reminded me to say that if any of you ever want to attend a citizenship ceremony to see what they're about, you're very welcome as long as you let the registrar or me know beforehand. The Mayor's charity, the Ark, has a fundraising quiz on the 22nd of March. It's at Martin's Heron Community Centre, and it's 7 o'clock for 7:30. I hope you all received a circular for this last week. If you can't find a team of 8, please let me know, because we can, if I've got the numbers, we can make some mix and match teams. Tickets are available on the poster from the Ark, which you should have had last week. There are 2 other fundraising occasions too. East Hampstead Rotary are organising a sponsored walk at South Hill Park on the 20th of May. It's a Sunday. I would organise a team from it, but I am on holiday on that day. However, I can give anyone the details who'd like to take part in it, and I could register you or your team on a behalf. You can choose from a variety of length walks, some of them really quite short. We also have the Bracknell Half Marathon, which is happening again on the 27th of April. If anyone's planning to run it and would be willing to sponsor the Ark, we would be very grateful. Or you could sponsor Peter Swallow, who is running it on the Ark's behalf. Alternatively, the Town Councillor Simon Carter is running a full marathon from Homestar and is quite happy to accept sponsorship from borough councillors as well. Now, at our last council meeting, there was a questioning as to whether a seconder of a motion who has reserved. They have the right to speak last, as has been common practice. The position has been clarified and whips have been informed. Furthermore, Part 7 of the Constitution states it is the decision of the Mayor and should not be challenged. The clerk and I will endeavour this week to choose hands in order of they're put up. But please realise it's really difficult from here to see who is first up, especially when there's some are there and some are there. So bear with us, please. I would now like to hand over to Councillor Eccleston, who is going to present a report from the JSOC. Would you like to come to the lectern or do it from your place?
From here be fine, thank you.
If any questions, if you could keep them till after the meeting, please.
Thank you. So myself and Councillor Virgo went to the JHOSC. So just to give a brief update on everything. So Frimley Park Hospital is in wave 1 of the new hospital programme. What that means is basically in January, the Secretary of State announced a review outcome reaffirming the prioritisation of the RAC scheme, including Frimley Park Hospital. These hospitals are what's known as the wave 1 of the programme. A cost estimate of between 1.5 billion and 2 billion was announced for Frimley Park Hospital, which aligns with the work the Trust has completed so far. The review listed a construction date between 28 and 29. However, the Department of Health and Social Care has since informed the Trust that construction can begin as soon as the Trust are ready. Therefore, the Trust will continue to drive towards the earliest possible date for construction and completion of a new Frimley Park Hospital, in conjunction with the Frimley Integrated Care Board, NHS England South East and its NHP colleagues. The Trust is on track to have a decision of a third site in the spring. In fact, they're aiming for May for an announcement. Have you got a brief video you can show?
Yes, I believe we have.
Thank you.
Could you show it, please? Good. Let's finish. Let Caroline finish.
So that was a brief. That's okay, I'll try again. Thank you. So that was a brief introduction to the Frimley Park extension.
There. Icon or something. Magic. Oh.
Thank you. And the extension is opening in April. This is a 76 inpatient beds, will provide much needed additional capacity and will help the Trust to manage the increase in demand it's experienced in the recent years. It will also enable more efficient ward refurbishments and reduce the disruption caused by the ongoing RAC remedial work. The Trust expects to have a phased opening from early April, starting with the ward areas, followed by the breast unit and then the diagnostic centre. It will have its own entrance. The JHOS members are going to take a visit beforehand, so we'll be able to update you more on what it actually looks like inside. Frimley are very much stressing that they have got a communication strategy. They've got a working draft of the new hospital programme communications and engagement strategy. The committee discussed and agreed with the Trust the importance of involving and engaging with seldom heard communities and the digitally excluded. So the Trust is committed to working with its partners and local authorities who have excellent already established networks to help ensure equity and inclusivity in its communications and engagement plans and processes. After that, we then went into a private meeting. More will be revealed in May. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councillor Eggleston.
Any questions?
Go online yet? I wondered if you wanted to add anything.
No, there's no indication he's online.
Okay,
No.
thank you. Right, I believe Councillor Thompson is now online. Could he confirm that, please?
Councillor Thompson, are you online?
Sorry. We'll go on now to the report of the Cabinet, which is item 5. Would Councillor Temperton like to present the report, please?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. If we have the slides come up. There's been 2 meetings, which is on the next slide, I think. There are 2 recent meetings, one on January the 21st and one on February the 11th. And there was a council strategy and climate change for the council plan overview report, which is on there. And the Cabinet noted the performance of the Council in the period July to September 2024, as highlighted in the overview report. At the end of Q2, there were 116 actions remaining, 10 were complete, 1 was not yet started, 1 was no longer required, and 104 actions were in progress. 81 of these actions in progress were green, 19 actions were amber, 4 actions were red. The performance and contextual indicators, which is what the forecast indicators are, 66 were green, 4 were amber, and 14 were red. The leisure, culture and public protection democracy Thank you. This was a framework for arts, culture and heritage. A new framework was approved for arts, culture and heritage. It aims to build upon the values that these activities bring to Bracknell Forest. It will bring a structured approach to recognising activity in the area and will help to coordinate resources and services. The new framework aligns with the Council's goals of fostering engaged and healthy communities and promoting a thriving and connected economy. For finance and corporate improvement, we had the Capital Programme 2025-26. Following public consultation, the final proposed capital programme was considered by the Cabinet and recommended to the Council. Each year, the Council agrees a programme of capital schemes funded by capital receipts, government grants, other external contributions, internal and external borrowing. The total proposed spend for 25-26 is 14.39 million, including 8.39 million funded by the Council and 5.99 million from external sources. The revenue budget. Following public consultation, the final proposed revenue budget was considered by the Cabinet and recommended to the Council. Cabinet delegated authority to the Executive Director Resources to agree a policy for distributing the Section 13A budget. The Cabinet also delegated authority to the Cabinet Member for Children and Young People to approve the detailed budget allocations for high needs pupils and early years providers. Additionally, the Cabinet approved a 3-week consultation on a draft new discretionary rates relief policy for charitable organisations, with results to be reported to the Cabinet at its meeting in March. Thank you.
Yes, again, can we confirm that Councillor Watts and Councillor Thompson are online?
Yeah, Councillor Thompson is now online.
He needs to confirm verbally.
Can he confirm verbally?
Councillor Thompson, can you confirm verbally, please?
Yes, I'm online, thanks.
And Councillor Watts, is she online? And can she confirm verbally if she is?
Councillor Watts, can you confirm verbally, please?
That will. Right, thank you, Councillor Temperton. Does anyone have some questions for the councillor?
Thank you.
No? Deputy Mayor, are there anybody remotely?
No questions online.
Thank you.
Madam Mayor.
So the recommendation is for the council, to note the report. So we consider that noted. We now come to item 6, annual update of the council's pay statement on page 25 of the agenda. Now, Councillor Pickering is not sent her apologies. Is anyone going to answer? Right, thank you, Councillor Gilby. Right, does anyone have a question for Councillor Gilby about the annual pay statement? Thank you. No? In that case, are there any questions from councillors joining remotely?
Nobody online, Madam Mayor. No.
Thank you. If there are no further questions, Councillor Gilby, would you like to move the recommendations?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Members, to be clear, the pay policy statement is a compendium of our pay arrangements and pension discretions, and it is a legal requirement that the Council publish this statement annually. There are no policy changes contained within this document, and its publication offers critical transparency into how our pay and payment structure within the Council operates. I advise that the only changes from last year's statement are with regard to updating the salary levels and pay relationships. The pay award is in line with that agreed at the National Joint Council for Local Government Service, and locally we have operated a transparent and productive partnership with trade union representatives. This culminated in the statement's approval through both the Local Joint Committee, which includes our trade union partners, and the Employment Committee. Members, I formally move recommendation 2.1 of the report and urge approval of the statement for publication. Thank you.
Thank you. Is that seconded?
Councillor Purnell, happy to second.
Sorry. Does Councillor Gilby wish to speak? The seconder wish to speak to the motion.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Just to say that I'm happy to second this pay statement, which was approved by the Employment Committee, and that I welcome any document that allows us to be an open and transparent council.
Oops. Does any councillor wish to speak? No? In that case, we will move to vote on this motion. Sorry, does anyone online have a wish?
No, there was nobody online, Madam
Thank
Mayor.
you. In that case, we will move to the vote against this. So, did you want to sum up, Councillor Gilby? Sorry.
Nothing to add, Madam Mayor.
Right. The recommendation is set out on the screen. The democratic officer will count our votes, so please make sure your hand is clearly raised. Only those in the room can vote. Right. So, can those present in the chamber indicate by raising their hand if you support the motion? Thank you. That appears to be unanimous, so the motion is carried. We now come to item 7, which is film classification policy, on page 57 of your agenda. Does anyone have a question on the Chair of Licensing and Safety Committee, Councillor Welsh?
No one online, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Thank you. In that case, Councillor Walsh, would you like to speak to the motion?
Yes, I would like to move this motion for the adoption of the film classification policy set out in the papers. I just want to add, it is rare that these requests come into our licensing team. It can be for when a film could require a reclassification after the BBFC have given theirs, or an independent party. It can also be for a one-off screening for a film, a trailer, or for a film festival. The licensing team did approve a recent request, which was the first one in a very long time. This film, Beyond Limits, had a very successful screening held at the Cineworld in Bracknell last Friday. This helps to highlight exactly why we need to have this policy up to date and in place. Thank you.
Thank you. Is that second? Sorry, is that seconded? Thank you, Councillor Webb. Councillor, sorry, would you like to speak to the motion or? Okay, thank you. Does anyone in the room wish to speak? Councillor Bidwell.
Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Anybody else?
I support the adoption and publication of Bracknell Forest Council's film classification policy to ensure clarity, transparency and consistency in film classification decisions. As the licensing authority, the Council has a duty to regulate film screenings in line with the Licensing Act 2003, ensuring appropriate age restrictions to protect children from harm. The policy establishes a clear framework for decision making, reducing the risk of legal challenges. It also enables the Licensing and Safety Committee to make minor amendments in response to legislative changes, ensuring the policy remains up to date. Additionally, this policy provides a structured process for handling film classification requests, whether for reclassification appeals or authorising unclassified films for festivals and special screenings. It upholds the Council's commitment to responsible licensing while supporting cultural and community events. Approving this policy reinforces our dedication to fair, transparent and legally robust approach to film classification in Bracknell Forest.
Thank you. Does anyone else in the room wish to speak? Deputy Mayor, does anyone
Nobody
online wish to
online,
speak?
Madam Mayor. No.
Thank you. Right. Okay, Councillor Welsh, would you like to sum up?
Nothing to add, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. In that case, the recommendation is set out on the screen. The Democratic Service Officer will count our votes, so please make sure your hand is raised. Only those present in the chamber can vote. Can all those in favour raise your hand if you support the motion? Right. Thank you. That is unanimous. So it is carried. We now come to item 8, review of the Councillor and Officer Protection Protocol on page 67 of your agenda. Does any councillor have a question? Councillor Barnard.
Thank you. Please could you advise who I'm addressing the question to? Is it you, Councillor Gilby? Right. So if I look at section 8 on the protocol, which relates to the councillor's legal rights to inspect council documents, and in 8.1 and 8.2 the common law right is based on the principle to know. So that we know from the discussions we had at the last budget meeting that the council is facing, to some extent, an uncertain future. Not for this meeting, but I think it would be helpful to know what financial information all councillors can have as early as possible in any budget cycle, some of which in the past has been sort of blurred around the edges on, pink papers and things, because, any future budget, which might be based on changes to the funding level Bracknell Forest got, is material information. I'm not convinced it's covered sufficient detail in this because it doesn't relate to individual cases, it doesn't relate to sort of access for particular services. It relates to actually detailed fundamental understanding of the council's financial position, which might, currently only be made available at a later date. So I would ask Councillor Gilby that this could be looked at so that we have a very clear protocol as the council now, sets in place clear protocols for this, because I think it could be quite helpful over the next year.
Okay. Before I asked the question, I should have asked Councillor Reagan if he would like to present the motion. Sorry.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Yes, so the motion is for this council to approve the revised draft of the councillor and officer protocol related to our code of conduct. It's a matter that was discussed at the Governance and Audit Committee that I chair, and was approved by that committee back in January. And we're now bringing it to full council for approval.
Right, thank you.
Madam Mayor, at the start of this meeting tonight, we had a long list of things, in terms of how we're going to conduct this meeting. My understanding was, and I'm happy to be corrected, that I asked a question in relation to this, but presumably once we've moved to motion, we debate. This was a question I was asking Councillor Gilby on the subject of this. Not actually, it wasn't for debate. It was to ask that, to seek some understanding.
I apologise. I've really got the order a little bit wrong there. You asked your question, and you were asking Councillor Gilby. Councillor Gilby, could you reply to that question?
Yeah.
Certainly. Councillor Barnard, I'm certainly satisfied that a lot of information is included in the open budget papers anyway, but I'm very happy to take that feedback on board and have an ongoing discussion with you in preparation for next year's budget. So I hope you'll accept my answer that we will make this an ongoing process. Thank you.
And Madam Mayor, at the risk of raising a protocol issue, now the motion has been moved, we're debating, not answering questions.
Now quite confused. So, yes, the motion has been moved. Now, is anybody else wanted to ask a question? Sorry. We'll do it in... Right. So, we need a seconder now for that motion, please.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Councillor Jeffries to second.
Now move to the debate. Councillor O'Reilly to the motion.
Yes, I'll say a few more words. Thank you. I think if all members are aware that this council, all members are dedicated to the implementation of the Northern Principles and make sure that the way that we conduct ourselves is at the highest possible standards. The review of this protocol has been going on for a while. I think it dates back to the previous administration. And we have now reviewed that protocol, and we're moving to put it into the Constitution. So any changes to it in future will be embedded in the Constitution. The Constitution does have some words on the protocol, but they haven't been reviewed for many years. And so I commend the changes as approved by the Governance and Audit Committee, and I commend it to members. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Reagan. Would the seconder like to speak to the recommendation?
Yes, Madam Mayor. And just for clarity, this question should have fallen to me, Councillor Barnard, as this falls in my portfolio. In speaking to this, the Councillor and Officer Protocol outlines a framework for professional conduct between councillors and officers, emphasising effective governance, mutual respect and high ethical standards. As councillors, we represent the public, set policies and oversee performance, whilst officers provide services, impartial advice and policy implementation, remaining politically neutral. The framework ensures councillors and officers uphold and respect the framework whilst avoiding undue influence and conflicts of interest. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Does anyone wish to speak?
Thank you very much, Madam Mayor. So just to say, fully, absolutely endorse this and thank everyone that's taken the time to look at this. It's always good to update these, and I think in particular the language, and having worked with a number of other councils, I think it's really important that this is set out formally and that training around this forms part of the induction of new members, be that at every council. when a new council term starts and also when someone comes on board in a by-election. I asked the question I did, a general question, and happy to be taken there was because we've already had reference tonight on 2 to 3 occasions about we welcome anything that's encouraged transparency, openness and fairness in terms of decision making. And the reason for asking about the financial information is it might sound something very specific, but it's in order to ensure that when difficult decisions need to be made by this council, that information can be shared. But I think there's a quid pro quo on that. If that information is shared at an early point, it needs to be understanding that that information might well be shared in an appropriately confidential manner for members because it could impact and influence, on the wider perception, wider issues of the council. So absolutely welcome taking that forward. But I think, again, in one of these sort of procedural areas, it helps to do that. But more fundamentally, absolutely welcome that. And I know that through the group within the Conservative Party group here and others that we reflect on issues that have taken place and will work to ensure that we fully play our part in upholding the principles, the Nolan principles, and all others that relate to the conduct of this council going forward. Thank you.
Thank you. Does anyone else wish to speak in the debate? Does anyone online wish to speak?
No one online, Madam Mayor.
Yes, I'll just turn to the relevant page. So the recommendation should be displayed, and it's that the Council approves the revised Councillor and Officer Protocol attached to this report for inclusion in the Council's constitution.
Thank you, Councillor O'Regan. We now move to vote on the recommendation. It is set out on screen. The Democratic Service Officer will count our votes, so please make sure your hand is clearly raised. Only those in the room can vote. Can those present in the chamber indicate by raising your hand if you support the recommendation? Yes. Thank you. It is that. Sorry. I can never get the hang of this thing. Right. That is carried. Thank you. The next item on the agenda is questions received under the Public Participation Scheme. We've received a notice of a question from a resident, which is set out at item 9 at the beginning of your agenda. The response for the question has been published as a supplementary to the agenda. The question and response will be displayed on the screen, and the resident is, and it will be taken as read, sorry. The resident, who is David Hartley, will now have chance to offer a supplementary question. Would you like to come to the lectern to do that? Thank you.
Madam Mayor, thank you for your response. Traffic usage on the B3022, or the Bracknell Road as it's known locally, has increased markedly over recent years due to new housing developments in the northern areas of Bracknell. The traffic web data system used by Thames Valley Police to log traffic incidents only contains data back to 2019. Therefore, using this as the main reference for making recommendations is somewhat flawed. Moreover, the number of families with young children that now reside in Brock Hill has tripled since 2007 as they use the footpaths daily to go from the local schools. Does this council have a plan to measure the density of traffic flow and peak periods on the B3022 in Brock Hill to enable the Thames Valley Police speed van to be effectively and efficiently deployed at critical periods? Thank you.
Councillor Gilby, would you? Sorry, Pernell.
Mr. Hartley, thank you very much for your supplementary question this evening, and indeed your original question too. What I'm going to do is take your question away, liaise with the relevant departments, and come back to you with a written answer, if that suffices. Thank you.
Thank you for joining us tonight, David. Please take your seat back in the gallery. That's what it says, public gallery. It's a low-level gallery. So, sorry, is questions submitted under Council Procedure Rule 10. We've received notice of one question which is set out at item 10 at the beginning of your agenda. Will be displayed on screen. The response from the relevant Cabinet member to the question has been published as a supplementary to the agenda. Both the question and response will be taken as read. The question is from Councillor McLean to Councillor Temperton, Leader of the Council, Member for Climate Strategy and Council Strategy and Climate Change. The response from Councillor Temperton has been published and is shown on the screen. Councillor McLean, you may ask Councillor Temperton one supplementary question that arises from the response, the answer. Do you wish to ask a supplementary question?
I do.
Right. Do you want to come to the lectern to do it, or sit from your place?
I'm happy to sit here to ask my question as I've got my laptop
fine.
in front of me. Because I want to refer in my question, which is made up of two parts, to the letter of the 3rd of February 2025 that was sent to the Department of Communities, Local Government, Housing and Communities. I was under the impression that, from what the leader had said, that Bracknell Forest was looking at working with other local authorities to form a combined strategic authority, or certainly explore that option. The letter of the 3rd of February refers in two parts, the first paragraph and the fourth paragraph, to a mayoral devolution, and specifically a mayoral combined strategic authority. The first question I have as my supplementary is that a change from my understanding that we were looking at a combined strategic authority? And if so, could the leader clarify that point? Shall I ask my second part of my supplementary now, or shall I ask that after the leader has spoken?
Only have one question. Is it?
Yes, but it's
a continuation of that one.
It's the same question, but in two parts.
Oh, please. Okay.
Thank you. It's no change, because if we have a combined strategic authority, in order to actually get the money and the devolution and to get the benefits of having a combined strategic authority, it is a mayoral strategic authority. Bracknell was a part of the unitary authority with the six, sorry, not the unitary, but it was the 6 leading groups for Berkshire. We tried at first to do that, that would be a foundation one, but that is not big enough. That's not the size that we need in order to get the combined strategic authority and that would be a mayoral one, in which we would then get the benefits of the finances coming down from central government.
Oh dear. The second supplementary question is to the leader. What safeguards and what guarantees are you seeking as part of the move towards this Labour government's devolution plans that will protect the interests of this council to make its own decisions and prevent any mayor-led combined authority from entering into a power grab to emasculate us as local elected members?
The strategic authority, we'll still continue as unitary authorities. The whole point is that you don't lose any power going up. You actually get more power. The devolution comes from the central government into the combined strategic authority. Nothing will happen without it going through us and every other unitary authority council to be voted in and agreed. Everything will be agreed by this council before it would actually be part of joining to any combined strategic authority. So we will all have that discussion. There will all be that full debate.
Right. Thank you, Councillor Temperton. That brings us to the end of our agenda. The last thing is just to say thank you, everybody, for attending tonight. And I now declare the meeting closed. Can you just remain seated for a few minutes until the democratic officer confirms that the broadcast has ended?